Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Srikant Gurukul. Here we are with a new video along with the daily current affairs of the VISION IAS. In this video, we shall discuss the news of 29th November. And the first news, that is the 4th India-France Annual Defense Dialogue. Recently, the dialogue was held by Ministry of Defense. And what are the key areas of discussion in this dialogue? That is this included the defense industrial cooperation with a focus on Make in India. So that is to make indigenous defense industry in India, and to strengthening of maritime cooperation and increasing the scope of bilateral exercises. And the both sides, India and France, they also committed to enhance the cooperation in bilateral, regional and multilateral fora with a focus on the Indo-Pacific region. And what is the significance of this India-France cooperation? So it will helpful for India in defense modernization, and it will cooperate in space activities, space sector in India, and it will be new economic opportunity for both the country, and both the country they would have a greater role in Indo-Pacific. Currently there is a 93% of in the Indo-Pacific territories, there it accounts, that is the 93% of the France exclusive economic zone. And after this Indo-France cooperation, it will increase more. And there are also so many initiatives that are taken for the cooperations in Indo-Pacific. Indo-Pacific Trilateral Development Cooperation Fund and Indo-France UAE Trilateral Framework, and also there is India-France-Australia Trilateral Mechanism for Deepening Cooperation, and Reciprocal Logistics Support Agreement, and India-Pacific Neutral Park Partnership. There is also Quad, but Quad is France is not included in Quad. Quad is between USA, Japan, India and Australia. Okay, the next news, that is regarding the hydrogen powered jet engine. Recently the Rolls-Royce, it successfully tests the hydrogen powered jet engine. So the aim of the test was to provide that hydrogen fuel can safely and efficiently deliver power for small mid-size aircraft from the mid 2030s onwards. And here the green hydrogen was used, and which was created by wind and tidal power. So how the gray, blue and green hydrogen are made? Green hydrogen, that is extracted from the fossil gas, releasing carbon dioxide emission into the air, and the blue hydrogen, that is extracted from the fossil gas before carbon dioxide emissions are trapped and stored permanently underground. And the green hydrogen, it is extracted from the water using renewable electricity and releasing oxygen into the air. The ICE, that is the hydrogen internal combustion engine, that works on the same principle as the traditional ICE, traditional internal combustion engine, except that it uses the hydrogen internal combustion engine, it uses hydrogen, but the traditional internal combustion engine that uses the petroleum based fuel. So it uses the petroleum based fuel, that is the traditional ICE, and the hydrogen internal combustion engine that uses hydrogen in place of petroleum based fuel. The burning the hydrogen fuel produces the energy needed to drive the engine, but a hydrogen ICE, that is not same as the hydrogen fuel cell. So it is a different thing which has been used in some electric vehicles. So hydrogen fuel cell that is used in some electric vehicles. So in case of the hydrogen fuel cell, hydrogen powers the cells leading to creation of electricity that will drive the vehicle's engine. And what are the benefits of the hydrogen ICE? So that it will helpful in achieving the carbon neutrality, near zero carbon fuel for the of the future. There it is a wider flammability range, allows for a wider range of fuel air mixtures and a greater thermal efficiency than the hydrocarbon fuel engines, and it will able to operate with a lower grade hydrogen also. What are the challenges that for in using the hydrogen as fuel? Difficult to transport, and risk of engine backfire, and premature ignition. So these are some challenges in using the hydrogen as fuel. The next topic, that is regarding the perennial rice varieties, which is recently developed by China. So there is a rice variety that named the PR23 that does not need to be planted every year. It can yield 8 consecutive harvests across 4 years. Okay, it can yield 8 consecutive harvests across 4 years, as these plants with the stronger roots grow back vigorously after each harvest. So what are the benefits of these perennial rice varieties, that is a PR23? It reduces the cost of the inputs because it requires less labor, seeds and chemical inputs, save around 58% in labor and 49% in other input costs, and it remarkable environmental benefits. It counter the impact of the climate change on food security and rural incomes. There are also some concerns in harvesting these varieties. That is, what are those concerns? That is, it needs 1 to 2 more herbicide treatments than the regular rice, and more work to restore the perennial rice when it is yield filter system. And earlier the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, it also launched an herbicide tolerant rice that can be directly sown into the soil, cutting the expenditure of the water and farm workers. That is generally to reduce the cost of the main objective is to reduce the cost of inputs. And what is here are some data information regarding the rice cultivation status in India. India is the world's second largest rice producer after China. China is the largest rice producer in the world, and India is the largest exporter of rice, and it is a kharif crop in India, and it needs high temperature, that is around 21 degrees Celsius to 37 degrees Celsius throughout the life of the crop, high humidity, prolonged sunshine and assured supply of water. Soils with good water retention capacity with high amount of clay and organic matter are ideal for the rice cultivation. And now let's move to the next topic. It's regarding the non-bank finance company license to fintechs. Earlier, few days back, several fintechs company they make a representation to RBI to secure the NBFC license, but RBI has put it on hold for considering. Why RBI has put them on hold? Because there are issues relating to the ownership of the fintech companies, and regarding the practice of the charging exorbitant rate of interest by the fintechs. So what is this exorbitant rate of interest? That is unreasonably high rate of interest. So what is this fintech? Fintech is broadly used to describe the emerging technology innovations in the financial service sector with ever increasing reliance on information technology. So Indian fintech industry that was valued around 50 to 60 billion dollar in financial year 2020, and it was estimated at around 150 billion dollar by 2025. So it is around 3 times by next 5 years. Most prominent fintech innovation that can be categorized into payments, clearing and settlement, deposits, lending and capital raising, market provisioning, investment management, and data analytics and risk management. So what are the benefits of the fintechs? They are efficiency improvement, and risk and cost reduction, greater financial inclusion. In India, the fintech companies that can provide workable solutions to the problems faced by the traditional financial institution, such as low penetration, scarce credit history, and cash-driven transaction economy. So Indian economy is generally a cash-driven transaction economy. What are the key challenges? It is the difficulty of regulating an evolving technology with different use cases and monitoring the activity outside the regulated sector and identifying new risks arising from the technology. These are some key challenges in the fintech industry. And Indian fintech, we can classify the Indian fintech industry into two types. That is, one is payment, another is online financial products. So in payments there are payment banks, mobile wallets, payment gateway, payment infrastructure, that is ATMs and mobile POS, and other online finance products are lending, insurance, e-NPS, then microfinance and broking. So what is this NBFC? That is a non-banking financial company, finance company. So it is a company registered under the Companies Act 1956, and its activities are same as the banks, but there is a few difference. So NBFCs, the non-banking finance companies, they cannot accept the demand deposits. They do not form part of the payment and settlement systems. They cannot issue the checks drawn on itself a system. So they are same as the banking companies, but they cannot accept the demand deposits. They do not form part of the payment and settlement system. They cannot issue checks drawn on itself. So these are some basic difference between the banking companies and NBFCs. Banks are registered under the RBI Act 1934, and NBFCs it is registered under the Companies Act 1956. Next topic, that is regarding the private launchpad. India's first private launchpad that is unveiled at Sriharikota. Recently, there is a first private launchpad that is unveiled in India, and it was designed by the Agnikul. It is a startup that is executed in support of with the ISRO and InSpace, Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center. So it is specially built to support and liquid stage control launches, while also addressing the ISRO's needs for monitoring key flight safety parameters during launches. So Indian space sector, it was prior to 2020, it was totally a public sector. It was totally depend upon the government funding, but it was opened up to the private sector in 2020. What is the need to open up to private sector? That is to meet the growing global demand, because ISRO alone cannot cater to the rising demand for the space-based application and service within India, because funding is very low, and it enable ISRO to fulfill its strategic objectives and focus on core research. There is so much fund required in research and development work, and it increased India's share in global space market. Currently, it is only 2% in the global space sector. So, in order to increase the share in global space market, India's space sector had to open up to private sector, and to secure our space capabilities and make them more robust, and to expand satellite based services. And what are the steps taken by the government to promote the private sector? Launch of the Indian Space Association, that is to help boost space technology in India. And in space, that is, it is a single point interface between the ISRO and the private companies. And the New Space India Limited, NSIL, that is to facilitate use of R&D carried out by the ISRO for commercial purposes through Indian industry partners. The next topic, that is the recalibration likely for central schemes. Recently, the Niti Aayog and the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Ministers, they jointly reviewed the all central sector schemes and centrally sponsored schemes. Why? What is the need for reviewing these schemes? Because a large number of schemes that results in spreading resources thin and thereby adversely impact the desired outcomes, and it adversely affect outcomes as one size fits all approach of the central sector schemes gives less flexibility to states in implementing. Many schemes, they overlap each other, and most of the schemes do not have a sunset clause, and their outcomes cannot be measured easily. A large number of schemes, they also require a burden some matching requirements from the states, which becomes an issue especially for the states with lower fiscal capacity. And what is the central sector scheme and what is the centrally sponsored schemes? Central sector schemes, it is directly implemented by the central ministries, central government, but the centrally sponsored schemes, that is implemented by the central government, but it is implemented through the state government. And the central sector schemes, it is ordinarily are in sectors falling in union list. They cover only the subjects that falling under the union list and are implemented through entities working directly or direct supervision of the union government. But the centrally sponsored schemes, these are in sectors falling in the state and concurrent list. Okay, and the central sector schemes are funded 100% by the union government, that is funded by the central government, but the funding is shared between the in case of the centrally sponsored schemes, the funding is shared between the center and state, that is in ratio, that is 60:40 or 90:10 in case of northeast states and hilly areas. And there are also some small news. The first news, that is scheme for procurement of aggregate power launched. What is this scheme? This scheme is launched by the Ministry of Power, that is for procurement of aggregate power of 4,500 megawatt for 5 years under the Shakti. What is this Shakti? Scheme for harnessing and allocating koila transparently in India. So it was Shakti scheme. It was launched to provide the coal to stressed power units which lack coal supply, in order to smoothening the coal supply to the power units. This scheme will help the states that are facing power shortage and also help generation plants to increase their capacities. The PFC Consulting Limited will be the nodal agency of this scheme. So PFC Consulting Limited, it is the nodal agency of these schemes, that is for the procurement of aggregate power launched. This scheme is launched by the Ministry of Power and it is under the Shakti scheme. It is a scheme for harnessing and allocating the koila transparently in India. Next, that is the Fujiwara effect. What is this Fujiwara effect? Recently there is a two cyclone, that is namely that is Hinanor and Gardo. They interactive showcasing the Fujiwara effect. So what is this Fujiwara effect? It is any interaction between the tropical storms with the following features. These storms are formed around the same time in same ocean region, that their centers or eyes are at a distance of less than 1400 km, and the intensity that could vary between the depression, that is wind speed, depression means that is wind speed under 63 km per hour, and a super typhoon, that is a wind speed above the 209 km per hour. And what is the outcome of the Fujiwara effect? It changes in track and intensity of either or both systems, and in rare cases the two systems they could merge to form a bigger storm. Next topic, that is a rehab project. So what is this rehab project? Reducing human attacks using honeybees, and it is inaugurated by the KVIC, that is a Khadi and Village Industries Commission. It inaugurated the rehab project, that is in Nainital, that Uttarakhand. Under this project, the bee fences that are created by setting up bee boxes in the passage of ways of elephants to block their entrance to human territories and thus avoid human annual conflict, and it is a sub mission of the KVI's National Honey Mission. Okay, now next topic, that is a 5G airwave interface. And DG of Director General of the Civil Aviation DGCA recently flagged the concerns of the likely interface of the 5G C-band spectrum that with aircraft radio altimeters as both operate in mid-C band frequency range. So yeah, the DGCA recently raised some concern over the interface of the 5G C-band spectrum. A radio altimeter provides direct height above terrain information to various aircraft systems, and use of altimeters in C-band ensures highly precise measurements of plane's altitude. There is a for telecom providers, C-band presents a sweet spot for rolling out 5G services, ensuring coverage as well as high bandwidth, resulting in faster internet speeds. Okay, next exercise Hari Mao Shakti. So it is an annual training, that is event between the Indian Army and Malaysian Army. So Hari Mao Shakti, that is exercise Hari Mao Shakti, it is between the Indian Army and the Malaysian Army. Next topic, that is a saved antenna measurement for the background radio spectrum telescope, that is a SARAS-3. And what is the SARAS-3? It has helped determine properties of the earliest radio luminous galaxies formed 200 billion years after the Big Bang, a period known as the cosmic dawn. And SARAS-3, it is a precision radio telescope to detect the extremely faint radio wave signals from cosmic dawn. It is the first telescope worldwide to reach the required sensitivity, and it is indigenously designed and built at the Raman Research Institute. It is an autonomous institute of the Department of the Science Technology, and it is deployed over the Dandi Ganahali Lake and Saravati backwaters in Karnataka. The next topic, that is the monkeypox disease. WHO recently recommended a new name that for the monkeypox disease, that is Mpox, as the current name was perceived to be racist and stigmatizing. The monkeypox, it is a viral zoonotic disease that occurs primarily in the tropical rainforest areas of the Central and West Africa, and it occasionally exported to other regions, and it is caused by the monkeypox virus, and it is transmitted to humans through close contact with an infected persons or animals, or with material contaminated with the virus. And it assigning the names to new and existing disease is the responsibility of the World Health Organization under the International Classification of Diseases and WHO family of the International Health Related Classification. The next topic, that is a Kolkali. So what is this Kolkali? Kolkali is a folk art form that is performed in the North Malabar region of the Kerala, and in Tamil Nadu this art form is referred as Kolatam, and in Andhra Pradesh this is known as Kolamu. In Tamil Nadu it is known as Kolatam. In Andhra Pradesh it is known as Kolamu, and it is a folk art form that performed in the North Malabar region of the Kerala, and it is performed during the paddy harvest season, and it drew elements from the Kalari Paitu, a martial art that is practiced in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Next topic, that is a Mauna Loa, that is a Hawaii island. Mauna Loa, the world's largest active volcano that started erupting now, and the Hawaii, it is a of USA. It is a group of 8 volcanic islands in the Central Pacific Ocean, stretching in a crescent form. Cure Island in the west to Hawaii in the east. In the west there is a Cure Island, and in the west, and Hawaii in the east. It volcanoes that is make of 51% of the Hawaii island's land mass. So it is the world's largest active volcano. That is the Mauna Loa. And the places and news for today, that is the Equatorial Guinea, and its capital is Malabo. Equatorial Guinea president, why this is a news? Because the president of Equatorial Guinea, the world's longest serving president in power, that is since 1979, won the 6th term, and the Equatorial Guinea, it is actually known as the Spanish Guiana. It is an oil-rich small tropical country on the west coast of Africa. Okay, and it is made up of the mainland territory called Rio Muni and 5 island. Rio Muni and 5 island, and political boundaries, it bordering the bit of Biafra, that is Atlantic Ocean, and it shares the land boundaries with the Cameroon and Gabon. Okay, it shares the maritime borders with Nigeria and Sao Tome and Principe, and geographical features, the major river, that is the river Ola, and highest point of this Equatorial Guinea, that is a Pico Vessel. This is it for this session. If you like this video, kindly like, share and subscribe our channel for more such videos. Thank you for watching.